get flanks and they just clean up.
Yeah, actually, when Dade was splitting, they actually responded perfectly well. Ari rushed that Zhonya's, and she just matched the split. She wasn't trying to fight the Zed, but she was just wave clearing everything, so Zed could never really build up that kind of big wave where you look at it and you're like, ah, Zed's in the side lane, let's run.
Into that game there, we did see the players taking some time to actually look at the screens. We saw Aranea, Peke, and Reckless looking at the end game stats, and the reason for that is it is damage done. I've had the fortunate to take a look at some of the numbers here. Reckless dealt over 335,000 damage over the course of that game. Peke, 275,000. The closest to them is 215 from Deft. So massive, massive goals between the carries. It is, of course, a 2 damage threat. Anyways, we do need to move on, so we're going to step away for a quick moment. And when we come back, we will see how Najin White Shield stacks up against North America's Cloud9. Keep it tuned right here for more of our World Championship coverage.
That's actually nice on towards Daddy. He's actually going to get the wild growth out of Akon. They're coming through. Reckless gets the one. Can they shut down Akon as well? They do. They're missing and Deft trying to turn this one around. There is a tidal wave coming in. Cyanide down in the middle though. They managed to pick up Deft. Spirit's in the front. Peke's got to come up big. There's a stun onto Akon. Peke blows him up as Daddy goes towards Reckless, but he's just going to QSS that off and surely will get the kill.
Nice!
Again, Fnatic decides, screw it, let's max range onto Akon. We'll get the one. Hart will be the next one. They got the tower and they're going to get Akon. This could be it for Fnatic. Now they're trying to get away. Peke goes massive.
Welcome back to day 2 of the Singapore group stage. We are on to game 3 of the day, which will feature Najee and White Shield taking on North America's number 2 seed Cloud9. And when you looked at the 6 games from today, this was the headline matchup. How the hell it's going to follow what just happened, I don't know. Let's start by talking about Cloud9. They looked good yesterday. They went 2-0. I instantly want to say hi and Meteos. They stepped up on this stage. Let's talk about some of their play, how they perform. Maybe probably kick us off talking a little bit about Hai and how we looked yesterday.
I'm actually really happy with Hai's performance, mostly because he's going up against other star mid laners. He's not going up against weak players and performing well. He's going against really good players and outperforming them. So it's kind of like not just playing well, but playing better than other really good players are.
Well, I mean, he did have a very favorable matchup against Froggen with Syndra into Xerath. But even so, I think that I was talking about this before the games, but I think that he had the most to gain out of going and boot camping in Korea. I think Korean solo queue can do this guy a world of good, and it looks like it has. He stepped up, and he's still that excellent shot caller that we think about.
Yeah, definitely delivering. Meteos, on the other hand, only 1 death across their 2 games, also a stellar performance. If we look at the other side of the coin, Shield, a little bit questionable yesterday. Some things there. Monty, you want to chime in?
Well, Shield is a team that has actually picked themselves into a corner in picks and bans multiple times. This is a characteristic of this team. And what happens is that they have these nail-biter games that go to 50 minutes, an hour long, where they eventually just out-rotate you, and they're so patient, right? They don't always, pick up the ball in those picks and bans, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who have the consummate patience to wait for that one opportunity that's going to win them the game.
What I will say, though, is about Shield, I'm not really convinced by their performance versus Alliance. They were really far down early, and I really think that the only reason that they won was because Tristana just outscaled Lucian really, really hard, and their team comp just worked really well together. So, yeah, they have, decent picks and bans, and like Monty said, sometimes they pick themselves into a corner, so that might not even go off them in this match. But if they fall behind so much early game, they can lose to any team.
Yeah, but you've got to give some props to Gorilla as well. Yes, Tristana was representative, but Gorilla playing that Thresh yesterday, hook after hook after hook. Probably was talking about Thresh earlier. Crepo, care to chime in a little bit on Gorilla, how he handled himself yesterday?
He's just, I think, by far the player that has impressed me the most on that team. Just super solid. And when I watched his games before, what impressed me the most was not his Thresh, was just the Nami and the Janna play coming out, but he definitely stepped up. He just showed the world how good of a support he really, really is.
Right, we have a large contingent of North American players on the bench now. We need to step back. Cloud9 has just watched...
It's not a bench.
Cloud9 has just watched Fnatic secure a win against Samsung Blue. Cloud9 put up a hell of a strong performance yesterday and are looking good. So I want you all to put your cards on the table. Tell me, who do you think is going to win this game? Naj and Shield or Cloud9? We'll start with Monte Cristo. Who's going to pick up the win and why?
I think Naj and White Shield. I don't think they're going to make the same mistakes in picks and bans, but again, with this team, you never quite know. But their patient style, I think, will hold them out, and they will be able to win this game. Probably a long one, though.
Crepo, you're up next.
I'm going to surprise, and I'm going to go with Cloud9 here. I think they have what it takes, and I really like Meteos' play. He played so smart. He was putting pressure in different areas of the game all the time. It's like when you break down a wall, you can hammer it down, or you can just drill a couple holes in the right spots and then just completely deny the structural integrity of that wall. And that's what Meteos does. He's always in the right place. And yeah, C9 is going to take this one.
Prolly?
Dude, I'm going with American Pie. Apple pie, whatever, all the pies.
Apple pie.
I'm going with C9. I think Hai is doing real well. I love Meteos right now. I think they got this really well.
I hope the non-inverse of what you've done, when you call people out for playing bad, they play well. We will see. Maybe it's your fault. Maybe it's your fault. Double lift. Who's picking up the win and why?
I'm also with Cloud9. I think Meteos, once again, just like Prolly just said, Meteos is playing spectacularly. His vision control, he doesn't make those ridiculous plays that Watch does, where I shouldn't say ridiculous, overly aggressive and get killed. Like you said, 1 death in 2 games. So Cloud9, I think, has this. They both have the same weaknesses also with the bottom lane that plays kind of passive. I worry a little bit for Sneaky and Lemon, but really, I think Cloud9 is really solid right now, and I'm so scared for Shield's early game.
Yeah, based on what we saw from Alliance earlier in the day, I too am waving the American flag, and I hope Cloud9 brings it home. Right, fans at home have locked in their vote as well. According to LOLesports.com, it's Cloud9 who our viewers think will win this one, but it is only 60% of the vote that is not convinced by far. Let's send this one over to the guys at the caster desk for the play-by-play.
Thank you very much, guys. The crowd is pumped up for this next match, so let's get right to it with a look at the rosters for both teams. On the blue side this time around, representing Korea, is Najim White Shield, with Save in the top lane, Watch in the jungle, Goong in the mid lane, Zephyr the AD carry, and Gorilla on support.
And on the red side is Cloud9 from the North American LCS. Up top is Balls in the jungle, Meteos, mid-high, AD carry Sneaky, and support Lemon Nation.
And of course, then Goong and Hai take center stage for this game's featured matchup. Hai died to Froggen, but outfarmed him in lane.
99 CS at 10 minutes there. Froggen had 89 as well. So, you know, Hai has been performing very well in a lot of these things. That's 86 CS at 10 minutes. That's his average, I think, in the tournament across both games. So we'll see if he can keep performing. He has so much power from Korean solo queue, and it definitely feels like almost the Korean lords have been lifted off of these guys. I think the analyst desk got, as soon as they saw a Korean team lose, like, all right, I guess everyone can do it now. Cloud9, 3 votes on that desk. We'll see if it's true, though. Both these teams are 2-0 group.
As easy as that, one game.
Yeah. It's like, well, yep.
Definitely, though, and whenever you talk about Hai, you have to talk about his shot calling as well, which was great against Alliance. But Goom, this guy is also a very strong player in the mid lane when he gets his specific champions. Now, both of these mid laners have been criticized for the small champion pools in the past, and they've both worked to actually change those champions pools, something Goong himself had to work on when, you know, Nidalee was reworked and LeBlanc was reworked. So we'll have to see how these guys kind of clash here, especially if picks and bans is something that is a difficulty for Shield. That's usually where Cloud9 excel. If both mid laners have kind of small pools, which do overlap a little bit, by the way.
Well, let's stay on that point then, since we're going into Champion Select next. Where are the big picks and the big bans in this game?
So the big thing that overlaps is, of course, the Zed for both of those guys. Ahri, not so much. That's more a Goong thing. And Syndra is probably more of a High thing.
Yeah.
Actually, more even of just a North American thing.
I think specifically the Cinder is a pick that a lot of other regions have not been respecting that much. It's good in almost all scenarios that Cloud9 wants to try and create. Really strong lane bully, and it has the ability to create fights in the mid and late game, which, since Lemon Nation is on this Janna tick, it's actually one of the only champions who can create fights without fully committing. It's actually very key to Cloud9's strategy, I think.
It's actually a champion that during the North American regionals, we saw a huge surge in popularity of Syndra for all these teams because she's so strong at forcing things in so many different scenarios. Her stun is probably one of the best utility spells you can get from a mid laner. Even comparing him to Xerath, who has a very comparable stun, Syndra's goes through champions. It has an extra 50 range on it, so you can get those Fog of War stuns. Plus, it travels much, much faster. Have to look up the number again. I had it before we started.
You and your numbers today, you did so much nice research.
All right.
You got experience in minion
it
wave.
travels 200 units faster. So Xerath's stun is much easier to dodge. Syndra's travels at 2,500
miles an hour?
It's
Teemos.
It's missile speed.
It's Teemos. It's 2,500 missile speeds.
So let's check in then and have a look at the
Oh,
bans
it's banned! No!
Yeah, you were going to get to do your numbers once again, but banned away here by Najim White Shield, along with Maokai for Cloud9, taking away Alistair, taking away Zillion as well.
Well, at least we know Cinder was a smart ban right there.
They did their research too. He was like, 2,500, that's way too fast.
It makes it a little scary for Cloud9 to actually find fights if they do want to go with Lemonation's Janna once again. But remember, this is against Gorilla, the guy who wanted to show the world how to play Janna.
We'll see here, though, because, he's definitely not been sad about going onto that Thresh.
I just wanted to point out that Cloud9 actually having both Zillion and Alistair banned against them in their previous 2 games. And today they say, well, we actually don't want to play them anyway, so we'll just ban them out.
It's a big blue side ban there.
And the final ban will actually be Lee Sin. No final ban there for Najim White Shield, which is an interesting.
So, were they docked a ban?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, we weren't notified that they were docked a ban
on one of their bans. So,
and you said earlier on that Zed was going to be a big one in this one, and that was left open, and Shield first pick it. Similar to what we saw earlier with Dade.
So interesting. We were just notified they for sure were not docked a ban. They passed on that on purpose. They ban out the Syndra, and they take the Zed. So the overlap they decide to take, they ban out the one that they don't have an overlap on, and we will see the pools of these mid laners being crucial in this matchup.
Well, first off, I like the fact that Meteos was able to lock down Kha'Zix. I feel like Kha'Zix and Lee Sin are the two big junglers here at the World Championship. They get the only one left available. I'm also curious about whether Hai will break out Fizz. It's something he's put a fair amount of practice in. I've never really seen him have a great game on it, but a lot of people trained it to play against Zed.
Well, if you're throwing out possibilities there for Hai, he's also played Kha'Zix in the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
But you made a really good point, though. With Lee Sin already banned and Kha'Zix locked in, that's the jungler that they probably want to go with. Hai has not played mid lane Kha'Zix in a long time.
So on the other side then for White Shield, picking up Rise here. We'll also get Gorilla on Thresh. We heard a bit before we even said it in the last game as well that we saw Shield in that, you know, people have been talking about the Janna and the Nami from Gorilla, but his Thresh has been so good.
Better than his Janna, because honestly, they're undefeated. He's made so many clutch hooks. He was one of the sole reasons they made it back in that first game of the day against Alliance, just finding hooks.
And it's such a playmaking champion that top-level players can really excel on. The analyst desk was just talking about it. So many of these really top-level supports making plays after plays with Thresh. He has so many options with his kit.
So for Cloud9 then, Lulu going to be locked in along with Nami.
Tristana protection right here coming in. They've got double support, semi-supports already locked in.
I wonder if
they have
Orianna in the mid
two
lane.
threats already, so they can actually put their defenses on whichever of these threats is actually under fire here. They don't have to. You don't always have to shove everything onto Trist in the end game here. You can also use all these shields to protect your Kha'Zix. Oh!
Or Talon. That's the other thing. One thing about high
Talon
champion
into Zed?
I guess so. It's not that great of a mid lane matchup, but it's something that Hai has been training the crap out of. Pretty much all of his main mid laners outside of Syndra are all physical damage dealers, so they need to have that magic damage top lane. But into a Zed, yikes.
All right, so we can definitely say this for sure, not just to protect the Triss combo, because they've got two other very high-value threats here. This is a 3 squishy threat, 2 support system here from Cloud9. This combo takes a lot of precision to pull off. This is going to take a lot of very crisp communication and crisp team fighting from Cloud9 to pull this off.
And are you going to then put forward that argument that Cloud9, if any team were to do that, are possibly that team?
Yes.
Especially from North America. I mean,
Good.
I have to look at White Shield's composition as well. With the first pick, Zed, it is a scary amount of pick composition, but they're super late game scaling. Yes, they have Ryze in the top lane, but Trist versus Corki, it does seem like they might actually get outscaled a bit.
And so here's the thing. These two assassins that Cloud9 have picked actually work really well together because Talon is actually sort of a team fight oriented assassin. He's not like Zed, who's definitely thrives on that split pushing. Talon actually can have a huge impact on team fights because he does so much AoE. So if he jumps in, does his AoE burst, Kha'Zix can clean up. They've got Tristana firing from the back for late game insurance. So many options here from Cloud9. Let's get into it though.
Well, remember, we'll be checking in on how you guys are voting during the game, so continue to tweet at LOL Esports and use the hashtag NWSWin or C9Win for who you think will prevail. But for now, we are going to get into game. It's Najin White Shield versus Cloud9. Basically, the game right now to seal who's going to be sat at the top of the group. I also got a last little bit of information about White Shield's missed ban. We have translators actually listening into their champion select as well, and apparently they were discussing the ban, couldn't decide on one, so just left it.
Hey, sometimes no decision is better than a bad decision. But with bans, you know, they didn't want to ban their own champion. That's one thing. There's a lot of power bans that get traded back and forth. Do you ban Ryze? Do you ban Zed? They end up getting both of them, and those have been bans in the past.
All right, let's see how that matchup does turn out because, as we heard emphatically from Prawley on the desk, very difficult matchup here for Talon. Small margin for error. Hai can pull it off. This is not like a hard counter, but there is a small margin for error.
Hai has stepped up in huge ways, say his teammates, since that North American LCS playoff defeat to TSM. They do get scouted by a nice ward there, so White Shield will have an early game edge here in that regard.
Spotted them coming back out of the jungle though, so White Shield know that they're actually safe in there. We'll see if that actually influences where what will be starting. We also see Zephyr and Gorilla starting fairly well pushed up this lane. This could be interesting if Cloud9 decide to face check in.
So he's standing here to see if there will be that blue invade, to see if there is that swap up top and late side blue invade. Imagine White Shield. Looks like they're actually going to try and start here for a watch. I wonder if they saw that ward go down. I don't think so.
Well, they saw them coming in, could probably surmise from that one as
Now they see him in lane.
Gorilla, yeah, will actually show himself there as well. They were waiting for quite a while inside of that brush, but it will be a normal 2v2 start here. So I guess we can stay there and talk about this lane matchup.
We say it's normal, but this is actually the first time Cloud9's decided to go for a 2v2. They've done so much swapping, both in the North American playoffs and so far in this group stage. We'll have to see how this Trish-Nami plays out.
And you can see, Gorilla and Zephyr were up in the lane just in case there was a lane swap. They kind of expected it from Cloud9 because they've done it so often. They were ready to pool those minions and get them to focus to push the minion wave back. And that's also maybe why the rest of the members were sitting up by that blue. But Cloud9 this time around, not going for the lane swap. Nami does help out Trist a lot in the lane phase, but early shove here and an early hook.
And that's going to be good here for White Shield. Sneaky losing half of his health bar instantly as White Shield hit level 2. There is Cloud9 getting themselves up to level 2 as well. Meteos may be called in, and Watch is actually already down on this bottom side.
It would be an incredibly dangerous and also out of character gank for Meteos if he actually tries to gank this lane early on. I think he's just going to try and get a bit of vision control and go back to farming. That's generally what he likes to do, is just let the other jungler try his first gank, and when his laners dodge the gank, he then has an edge on the enemy jungler.
So far, Hai is giving as good as he gets in this lane. Now, he has started with the Crystalline Flash, so he doesn't run He can use his abilities to trade more effectively. He tries to get minions in with the harass when he throws out his rake, or tries to get harass in with his minions when he throws it out. 2 for 1.
Currently very even as well is that lane. One lane that's not quite as even at this point though is that top lane. We'll visit that in just a moment as we see Watch coming around from the vision of Cloud9. They see Watch looping in there, so they're going to be aware that they could be in danger here, possibly. Watch is going all the way up and will get a very deep ward inside of Cloud9's jungle.
So, super early on, Meteos doesn't actually want to fight Watch unless he has, you know, some big vision advantage on him and he can get the jump.
Or if he has backup.
So later on, he'll be fine and he can outscale. But early on, doesn't want to take those 1 versus 1s because if at least hits that cocoon, it's going to be devastating.
Yeah, they're basically just trading pink wards, or sorry, trading deep wards on the map here. It's not unlike Cloud9 to almost sacrifice one lane for the benefit of the other. This game, very early on, they are definitely favoring Balls' side with that deep ward because they know that Sneaky and Elimination are going to be playing passive for most of that lane. Since they know Balls will be pushed up against Save the majority of the time, the deep wards are much more important on that side.
Oh, here comes the hook from Gorilla, but it was pretty much a mile away from Sneaky. Aimed off to the right-hand side. Sneaky just basically standing still there, and that hook just whistling on by and allowed Sneaky to actually get a good
Watch thinking about an invade. Oh, they're pinging for the gank up top on Balls. Watch is going to go through Cloud9's jungle. The deep ward didn't help.
Yeah.
Balls is going to be
It's such a deep ward that it missed the ward in what would be a likely scenario.
Oh, here comes Safe.
Got a
Then
flash.
Watch gonna come through into this one. They're gonna wait until the cocoon comes out. It's a good flash from Balls.
Pretty much a textbook escape. That's the best he could have done. That
Problem is now his lane is shoved, and so Save up here should be able to. Oh, never mind. He's got an extra ranged minion. It's fine for Balls. It's fine. Doesn't have to burn his teleport either because he doesn't want to overextend in that lane. He brings 2 wards for himself. One is pink. Meteos also takes that opportunity because Watch shows top. He invades the bottom side jungle. Watch's ward though sees him.
Ooh, that's
looking to counter. Better get that quick. Nah, Watch does not come up.
Well, actually headed towards that bottom side of the map where, to be fair, Sneaky and Elimination have pushed out a little bit from that turret. There are actually no wards in position, so not been able to get up far enough to get that vision down. They do spot watch coming in. There's a flash into the flame. Can they lock one down? Balls is going to TP in, but Lemon Nation is going down. His first blood for Zephyr. Balls is there. But Sneaky going aggressive. Looking for Zephyr. There is Meteos as well. Gorilla's low. He will be the focus, and Balls will get the kill back. Meanwhile, Save finishes off Sneaky on the top side. He's kind of in no man's land now, though. He's got to escape.
It's a 2v1 for White Shield so far, but this fight is not over yet. Zed trying to mirror high. It's going to be a fight.
Oh, there's the death mark coming down. Save will move in from the side. Goong going to get some decent damage down, but he's being burnt down by the Ignite. He's able to escape, though, in the end. Save did a big loop, and he also lives.
High used his ultimate in lane, so he didn't have it there, or they would have been able to turn around on Goong. That's why Goong had the confidence to chase down High and open up an escape route for Save.
That fight in the bottom lane, though, was so close. The fact that White Shield came out 2v1 for that one could have very well gone the other way. Let's check this one out real quickly. Obviously, Gorilla starts it off nice. They get enough damage down onto Lemon Nation. He was close to being able to escape this one. Such an amazing glitter lance by Balls here. I thought they were going to get more casualties, but Sneaky is kind of caught out a bit by himself.
Gorilla once again plays on this Thresh, a crucial pick for Najin White Shield. Gorilla, because of the initiative that he took in the bottom lane trade, even with their teleport coming in later, they still come out ahead.
And a 14 CS lead is what remains of that one. Lead for Zephyr. Goong is slightly ahead here of 5, but for all intents and purposes, it is level there as Goong gets the blue buff gifted over to him by Watch. See what High decides to go for. The pickaxe start actually for High.
I do have to say the biggest beneficiary of everything that happened was Save in the top lane. The last of the top lane carries on Rise. First off, Watch's gank early on relieved the pressure Balls was placing on him, and then when he could teleport down to get a kill as well, considering his early game disadvantage, he is sitting pretty up there and primed to carry. He's already got his tier and his catalyst.
Building up for him, only 8.5 minutes into this game. Balls back into that lane. Of course, he's going for his Athenes first. Talked about High going for that pickaxe, and actually he's going to go pretty damn aggressive there onto Goong. Is that a signal that he wants to head back? Save again, throwing out the ultimate onto Balls in the top. He's feeling a lot more confident now.
Yep, he's got his mana stacking items. He's got that kill you talked about. Balls did get one as well, though, so we're evened up on that. I just want to go over that exchange that we just saw mid, though. High actually spamming his ultimate here in lane. As we said before, he used it in lane before the last exchange for lane control. He gets a lot of damage down on the Zed, but also clears the minion wave very quickly every time he uses his ultimate as well, shoving in Zed.
And with the blue buff, it's on a remarkably low cooldown, only 62 seconds, so basically a minute, and you can see he almost has it back up.
And it's something we even saw Goom using when he was on Talon against Faker.
Oh, Save actually has no flash here after that last encounter down in the bottom lane. Meteos waiting inside of the tri-bush. So there is a ward there, but Save needs to be careful as to how far up he goes. There is the step forward, and Meteos decides that is going to be the time for him to come in. Can he lock down Save? The slow will come in there. Will they even dive this one? There is a wild growth coming in together. Knock up. There is the lockdown coming back, and Meteos taking a lot of damage. Will they get the kill?
It's a pretty common Cloud9 trade. A 10-minute gank up top isn't warded against because the enemy team can just take the dragon on you. They're trading, trying to shut down Save for a big objective.
Excuse me, it was Pawn. But yeah, they are going to trade that for the dragon here. Najin White Shield able to secure that simple exchange of jungle pressure.
So, you've hit the 10-minute mark already. 1,500 gold lead for the Korean side of Najin White Shield. His bottom lane still being held by Zephyr. Thanks in part to Gorilla's amazing play so far. I think we've seen one hook that's gone wide. The rest have been pretty much either dodged with the jumps away from Sneaky or landed to set things up. That might even happen now once again, and Zephyr just stepping up there to put as much deep damage down as he can, which will include single auto attack this time around only onto that tower. Meanwhile, Goong's got some free time in that middle lane because we did see High recalling to pick himself up the Tiamat.
So really, it's just Cloud9 trying to stall this one out a little bit. If we're going into a Najin White Shield versus Cloud9 game, we can't expect fireworks. The way these teams have actually been able to win games has been through fairly slow, methodical manner. At the moment, though, the lanes are going in White Shield's favor, which is much different than their alliance matchup.
It will be explosive, though. With the combat... Ooh! Cloud9 are running.
Goom going to go in there, but High being invisible dodges most of the damage to come out, but Goom says, no, I think I'm done in this one. I am running back away. The Ignite was put down by High. Meanwhile, Gorilla had also come around the side to maybe try and get involved, as had Watch, and Zephyr had even moved up that river area. Nothing really on the table for them, though, so no kills will go down in that mid lane.
Yeah, Cloud9's bottom lane's leaking a little bit right now. I'm wondering when Zeph and Gorilla are going to start putting pressure on the rest of the map, or if they're going to be able to clean that bottom lane quickly, because Gorilla's going to try and make an impact.
Now he's going mid. He's making his impact now.
Oh, they're going to go in. Can they hook him? No. Flash actually going to be forced from High, so, I mean, moving in for that one, forcing out the Summoner spell. A win.
We saw exactly this same thing from Najin White Shield's bottom lane last time. Corki Thresh, they got an early lead. Gorilla started roaming. He got mobility boots, and he affected the rest of the map.
Uh-oh, Sneaky could be in trouble. Lemon Nation could actually be in trouble here. The hook will land into the box. He's slowed for days. The cocoon follows. There is an exhaust down, and Watch can't get through. Luckily for him, the white comes up there, and he's able to back off. Gorilla might not be so lucky, but the TP from Save is going to come down. Sneaky at less than half HP. Balls is there as well. Oh! They finish him off. They do get one. Save is going to die to the tower, though, and Balls somehow still alive. Finally finished off, but High comes down, and he'll clean up that one. Gorilla needs to run as well.
In a 5v4, Cloud9 trades the kills beautifully, and Meteos just now arrives.
Said it was going to be explosive with the comp that Cloud9 are running. All very squishy, but high damage output. And the dive there from Najin White Shield turned around very quickly. Gives also Cloud9 some control around this Dragon Pit. They do clear out the pink ward, but man, those deep wards, Najin White Shield invading really hard on this blue buff side of Cloud9. Gorilla, as we said, making play after play with this Thresh, flashing that Nami tidal wave.
Right after I said it'll be a passive game, this happens. Obviously, it looked a little confusing that they backed off, but that's because the balls teleported came in behind the fight. He arrives just about the same time Rise does, and because that's bad.
Another kill.
Another kill.
It's Lemon Nation caught out of position there. I mean, there's 3 men on top of him. Can't really afford to go through there. Meteos also has to just leap away. Means that blue buff is going to be stolen away by Najin White Shield.
And look at the allocation of wards here. Najin White Shield, they litter this blue side jungle with wards, as we said, and they continue to fight in that side of the jungle. Cloud9 have 3 pink wards on the top side of the map, but there's nothing going on up there. There are no fights. That is not the battlefield.
And what's going to happen with mid-game Dragon Control at this point? It definitely seems like White Shield is going to continue to take those, and how is Cloud9 going to make up for that gold deficit? Yes, it's nice that they're trying to let Balls have success in that lane to shut down Rise, but when you have a solo lane Lulu and a Trist, you kind of have to help Trist out in the laning phase a little bit. I'm scared here for Sneaky falling too far behind.
Especially when he's against a Corki, a Trinity Force builder, a caster AD carry. This is going to be a huge boon for Najin White Shield in the coming teamfights. They've got this tremendous damage output with the Trinity Force Corki versus the Tristana sitting on Avarice Blade and pieces of items.
It definitely seems like Cloud9 may be pulling off the top lane strategy a little bit. It's going to be hard pressed though, because there's so many deep wards already in their jungle. They cannot possibly clear these out before the next dragon spawns, and they will be at mercy to Thresh.
And if, well, I was just about to praise Gorilla as he comes through, not quite landing there, as Cloud9 were just trying to clear out those wards, but Gorilla's hit clutch hooks today.
And now that we are having more team fights, we see the armor focus here from Save. He's going straight into that Glacial Shroud.
This is such a scary team fight for Cloud9, though. Trinity Force, as you mentioned, completed, whereas Sneaky's sitting on components, part way to a Static Shiv, very far away from his Infinity Edge. High would have to play this team fight exquisitely. Save already has Rod of Ages. It feels like Shield is the stronger team right now.
Oh! Getting caught from this one. The damage is massive. Deathmark actually going down. Gorilla will fall though to Sneaky. Well, what can they do? We see Watch and Zephyr going deep. Sneaky goes low, tries to jump away from things, gets away, but Meteos will be given up. And that is going to be a 3-for-1. They lose the support, but they take top, middle, and jungle.
That's going to be Dragon, definitely, for White Shield. As we can see there, Zeppa, huge amounts of DPS going out, claims a red buff for himself, and they've got control. They can shove the waves up.
Najin White Shield paying attention to the power spikes. Trinity Force for Zeppa. Save, even though he wasn't immediately in the fight, could make it over. It was time to fight. They just break this game wide open after that one.
All right, so let's see here. High does go for the 100% on Gorilla. This is the support, though, so taking him out did not really affect the team fight. They did draw out his exhaust, but after High uses everything to take down Thresh support, there's so much damage left here from Najin White Shield, they take over.
Najin White Shield, after that Alliance game, obviously said, guys, let's not do that one again. Let's not do it the hard way. Sat 8-5 up in kills, but it's the goal that's the real big difference in this one. And White Shield gonna go for a hook. Gorilla just a little bit wide on that one once again.
White Shield definitely picked a much stronger mid-game this time around. And they're gonna try and close the deal, which is something Alliance could not do.
Sneaky was also harassed down at the very beginning of that fight. Didn't get to add much to it. Let's see about this top lane focus, though. Meteos sitting on that pink ward. That was a short jump. Everybody's moaning, but it's the unevolved wings. Yeah, he did clip the end of that little round there.
Oh! Oh, I actually got aggressive after that. Being lured into it. Actually has to flash though. Where's the Lee's gonna come down? Right on top of him. Watch gets the execute, but here comes the TP. Paul's gonna join in the fight. Watch is low. What can Paul do? He has to use his own wild growth on himself, and he's gonna fall. Goog, meanwhile, in between the remaining three, will drop off, but Save keeps going. There is Corky joining in. They get the tower, but Najin are low.
Why is Cloud9 continually fighting? They are not at their power points yet, but High decided to go in, immediately flashed away, and everything else just collapsed upon them. Cloud9 loses another fight because they are behind.
Yeah, they keep fighting. It's kind of snowballing against them. They got that feeling that they're behind and they didn't want to give much more. You can tell, though, High, he doesn't want to let any aggressive move go. And even though it missed, or there was no follow-up on this hook, decides to jump back in. I mean, that ward, by the way, didn't see Watch coming down.
They know how strong Zeppa is at this point. He jumps straight into his face. And Sneaky, if he was a Trinity Force Corki right now, of course that fight would have turned, but it just takes more time for Trish to get in there. Rise can counter the Lulu teleport very easily. Balls basically teleports in to die. And Najin White Shield takes an even greater edge.
See if Cloud9 can turtle. They go aggressive down bottom on Goom to get his flash, but that's all. Focus up top here. Now Shield are going to answer, swing everybody up top, take that turret, and claim this red buff side for themselves.
Try and choke Cloud9 now out of this game. Wards down. In fact, if you look at the map, that is a lot of wards down for Najin White Shield right now.
All five.
The bottom side and the top side. You can see the path they've taken through. That tower's going down too.
And it's not just Gorilla. Yes, Gorilla's doing a magnificent job of controlling the map, but it's also Watch with the Sight Stone. Here's the 1v1.
Oh, he's going to come out on top of it. It's going to be the death bar, but Ignite is down, and it's great.
He upgraded his sweeper to get the Oracle lens so early on to go for that 1v1. It does afford him the experience of winning that 1v1, but they still trade.
That's actually really good for High. He gets a shutdown bonus, and maybe he can use his talent for a team fight victory, but the global gold disadvantage and honestly the power of Save and Zeppa at the moment just seems like much more than Cloud9 can deal with.
Definitely is too much to handle mid lane.
Yeah, the gold disparity across the board is pretty devastating. Top lane, AD carries both about 2,000 gold behind their opposite number. And we're closing in on a 10,000 gold lead here for Najin White Shield. And that's with just the outer ring of turrets going down. Plus, of course, that one here in the middle that we're looking at right now. We've got 1 minute and 40 until the next dragon comes up. I think it's going to be a case of having to maybe give this one up for Cloud9.
Yes, please. Yeah, at this point. Otherwise, they'll lose the game before 30 minutes. They may already have lost this one, depending on how well White Shield knows how to close. Sneaky needs a lot of time to get more and more items. Infinity Edge, Berserker Greaves, he's probably going to even need a Last Whisper, since Watch and Save have started working towards some major armor itemization. already.
Yeah, clear item path for them with 280 assassins. Tristana. Small win there for Cloud9, both skill shots missing, but that was 1 ward in 10 that are on their side of the jungle.
At least 10. That's a lot down there. We do see Goom just doing a lap. He was obviously pushing that top wave out. Actually, we'll wait here inside of the enemy jungle, just looking by that raid camp to get some free damage down. Meanwhile, Watch was determined to come around and get this pink ward. Will finally be able to do so. And White Shield now strangling the bottom side.
And you can really see Najin's focus on ward control and commitment to it. A minute ago, there were all 5 pink wards down for White Shield. They're currently still having all 5 down, yet they have 4 pink wards in their inventory just in case one gets taken down or if they need to move their vision. They are just maximizing their ward limits on the map.
And not only is it a double sight zone, he's upgraded to a ruby sight zone as well, so he can stay out on the map longer and still have wards.
Yeah, Save is gonna just turn around and kill Meteos because it's just that strong right now.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. For all the attention that Cloud9 put into trying to shut Save down, it has failed, and it has cost them Sneaky's farm as well. It's one of those games where everything goes wrong.
It was the play coming in at the last second there. Pink ward goes down to spot high, and they're gonna keep chasing here. The Rune Prison's gonna come up in a second. There it is, and the finisher from Save, up at 5-2-2 after 22 minutes on Rise.
They should push in now. Looks like they already have control down bottom. That's where they're making their move. This turret gonna go down to Corki here, trying to put on work, but they go mid.
Sneaky, I feel that he may be falling prey once again, and the Deathmark does go down. It's Watch, actually, that finishes off the kill. Meanwhile, Zephyr has been pushing that bottom lane, and across the map, White Shield are just demolishing Cloud9.
They got the kills and the turret down at the exact same time. They are not letting this mid-game window go to waste. There's no way they're going to wait around for Tristana to scale up here. Najin White Shield pushing it very, very hard.
And Najin Shield is kind of proving that they can play multiple styles. They had the late game turtle against Alliance when Alliance had the mid game composition. They probably also watched a little bit of Blue's late game composition fail to Fnatic, and they say, you know what, this late game thing is a little bit too risky. They go for a mid game composition that still has some strong late game insurance with Rise, and they're just destroying Cloud9 here, 24 minutes.
So, yeah, I mean, if we look at the actual goal totals, it's not a pretty picture for Cloud9. The only turret left outside of the base is in that top lane, which itself has already faced quite a lot of pressure. We still see, I believe, 4 out of 5 pink wards are still alive on the map for Najin White Shield. Continuing that vision dominance, making it so hard for Cloud9 to actually walk away, and pink ward is down. High is going to get the support from Balls here, but Save just going to blow him to pieces. Sneaky comes in, actually blows him back into the lane. Slow comes down, TP, no, can't get away from the wild growth. Turns back to do the damage onto Balls, and Cloud9 gang up for the single
all
kill.
5 of them.
But
And
the
it's gonna
entire
take their
base
base.
has been pushed, yeah.
That is just a bit of an overcommit there by Cloud9. They had a mission to kill Save.
Mission
However,
accomplished.
that's that goal not working out.
No.
Oh, dear.
They lose the middle inhibitor turret. They're going to lose the top inhibitor turret. One of the inhibitors may go down here as well, and maybe even worse if Gorilla can land a hook. Goong, in the meantime, still hammering away. Sneaky is pushing the bottom lane. Going to get an inner tower for that one, but there is Goong going on to elimination. Where's the splat? There it is, and he goes back, and Cloud9 left. Oh, where did he go? Okay, back to the middle lane, still alive. They could even get both in him with the kill. They will. They're so far ahead.
Yeah, that is a case of winning the battle for Cloud9 with their mission to kill Save, but losing the war. Their entire base is demolished. That's wide open for Najin White Shield.
At least he didn't get away with that teleport. I mean, that would have just been a disaster. At the end of the day, though, High on the run yet again.
One more missile.
Is out of options here in a lot of different ways. It's crazy, too, because imagine how this group is going out, and it's what you touched on earlier, Kobe, in not being able to judge these incredibly competitive groups off of single games. Cloud9 looked really good against Alliance. Alliance had a really good mid-game against White Shield, and then Cloud9 had a horrendous mid-game here against White Shield, who's going to be 3-0 in this group.
Baron is going down here, no doubt about that one. No one around from Cloud9 for even A sneaky attempt to get that one away. In fact, Goom almost stopped from recalling. Even that went wide. Certainly not looking like Cloud9's game. There's more items just going to be collected in. And, well, there's a stark difference between these two lineups. He just will be getting himself a blue buff for what good that will do. They, of course, have 2 inhibitors down. With those super minions streaming in. Only the bottom lane still has a turret and the inhib left remaining. But if White Shield wish to take that one, I think that they will just go in there and take it.
Yeah, inhibitor number 3 should not be far away. There is so much armor on the side of White Shield. Balls is not a big enough threat on Lulu. Rise or Elise can probably just walk into the turret. However, that's actually a really clever catch there by Cloud9, being way farther out than Najee White Shield expected to be. Saves it here to save the day, though.
Oh, there is a tidal wave, but the death mark will come through. Wild Growth comes in. Oh,
Whoa!
Goom tries to get out, didn't get the kill, and will force a sneaky. They hold.
About the only possible way they could hold as well. They get a catch, and then they catch Goom and some over-aggression. If all White Shield did was slowly move as a 5-man unit and wait for the super minions to draw the attention of 2 people on Cloud9, the 3rd inhibitor would have been comically easy to attain. But they didn't, and now Cloud9 gets to devote all their attention to wave clearing the super minions, and White Shield can't push with 3.
Yep. Wait around for round 2 here inside the base. They still can't really venture out onto the map. Pretty much the entire map now, Najee Shield territory.
That's a scary sight, that vision toggle right there. Cloud9 literally sees nothing of the map. Oh, sorry, I lied. There is 1 ward down by the bottom of River. For what good that will do at this point.
Didn't even get swept yet, so they got that going for them.
Which is nice.
That is nice. Cloud9, they really needed the Turtles one out. They need a few more minutes for their inhibitors to come back up. I don't think we're going to see Najee White Shield get caught out yet again. If somehow they could force the fight the instant Najee White Shield groups, that would make it so the super minions don't necessarily have time to finish their Nexus turrets. But looking at that wave in the top lane, Kai actually has to go there right now, which is bad timing considering White Shield is knocking on the bottom lane door.
Oh, Hook coming through. Doesn't get the fish, though. Lemon Nation survives for now. Just waiting for that next minion wave.
That top lane wave would kill their
rolling through. Yeah, they're going to just go straight in on towards that inhib turret. The Hook again, aim this time full sneaky, doesn't connect. Turret goes down. Lemon Nation being caught out on one side. He is surely going to fall here. It will be Goom to pick that one up. Inhibitor number 3 is going to go down. The super minions are already through there and taking the tower aggro. Hook comes down onto Balls as well. He will use the Wild Growth. That won't be enough, though, to keep him alive. And White Shield just ripping through both Cloud9 and their base here as they go. Both Nexus turrets are going to go down. It looks like Save wants a bit more of the action here. Will be able to get in there. It's actually Goong that steals the 1 kill. He takes down Sneaky, and Najee White Shield finish off the game here in classy style. A very one-sided encounter. Brilliant performance from Shield.
And they take command of their group now. 3-0. They have beaten every team in the group in their first matchup. This one, very convincing. They struggled a little bit against Alliance, but as far as their ultimate goal, which is advancing through this group, they're looking pretty good.
It's funny as well, I think most people, if they were to look at the 3 Korean teams, would look at blue and white to go through their groups without problems, and maybe White Shield the ones that were beatable on paper. So far, Najee White Shield looking very, very strong. Not untouchable though, Alliance pushing them a very long way in that previous encounter. But we've got the points on the board, and that's what counts after your first 3 games.
And Cloud9 trying something we have not seen from them before. This 3 very squishy threat team with the double supports not working out for them in group stages here.
And that's the beauty of the fact that everyone plays everyone twice, right? So you can come in the first game and say, we've got this curveball strategy that might work out for us, that we might be able to catch them off guard with. Yes, okay, if you lose, you're losing a game in the group stage, but you can always revert it and change it for the next time that you meet.
And I definitely feel like when Cloud9 watches that game again, they're going to be very disappointed themselves because they had pretty decent chances in the early game, and once Corki picked up that Trinity Force, they didn't necessarily need to fight. But as soon as they started, it was almost a 10,000 gold lead that just appeared. So that was what cost them the game.
And I think that there's been all this talk about, the solo laners of this team, Shield. However, you really got to pay attention to this Thresh pick. Gorilla is all over the place. When they pick an early game bottom lane like that, it opens him up to roam, and he gets these early mobility boots, creating plays all over the map.
Now we have to get the shot of watching their melting fans' hearts for a long time now. A fantastic win overall for Najin White Shield. Not all bad news for Cloud9. They've still got 2 wins on the board from their first 3 games. And for a breakdown of that match, let's check in with our team at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Joe. I love Watch 2. Before we get to picks and bans and breaking down this game, I want to kick off on something that Kobe was talking about, the Thresh pick. Gorilla's played Thresh 3 times out of all 3 games. The entire team has secured 45 kills, right? 45 kills. He's been involved in 36 of them. This is a plea to Cloud9 and Alliance. Take Thresh away or get rid of it.
Typically, just because of Gorilla's reputation on Thresh in Korea, you do see a lot of Thresh bans targeted at Najin White Shield. And I mean, he's a playmaker. It's not only just the pick, though. It's the way they play. They're a very conservative team. They wait for their support to get there, and then they make the play.
Probably talk to me about picks and bans and champ select. Talon into Zed again. I'm still not convinced.
I think, well, it first started out with the bans. They were blue side, Najin White Shield was blue side, and I think that's the best blue side bans. Not the third miss ban thing, but the fact that they ban out Syndra and first pick Zed. Some kind of variation like that against Cloud9 I think is the best, especially because it's forcing high onto Talon, which isn't like notably way better than Zed in any way.
To be fair, he was doing well. He was holding his own, and even later in the game, they traded 1-for-1 on the bottom. So I'm pretty sure if that lane played out the way it did, and the rest of the map just played a little better, that could have been different. I would have liked to see C9 lane swap, because what's putting a timer on Cloud9 here is that Ryze. That Ryze is going to get incredibly big, let alone Save is just a monster on him already. I just wonder, why did Cloud9 not lane swap? They have the weaker bot lane. They have the top lane that gets less. My English is very hard sometimes. Gets less punished if you swap. Lulu has utility. It's a utility mage. All you need is the ulti and the slow in fights. Ryze is a beast who needs farm. Why didn't you swap?
Well, I don't know. I have to disagree because honestly, Cloud9's bottom lane matchup, which is Nami Trist, one of the strongest lanes. I've been saying this for so long. Nami Trist has insane everything. The laning is amazing. The trading is amazing. The scaling is amazing. I don't understand how they fell so far behind against Quirky Thresh, which, like I said before, is just a kind of so-so lane. Yeah, they might fall behind levels 1 and 2, but they shouldn't have been so down, and there's so much spillover from Gorilla. This guy was roaming everywhere.
I've actually watched that lane. I watched the first 4 minutes of it, and basically what ended up happening was level 1. They missed the race to level 2. They could have won it. Sneaky basically stood still and
he played poorly.
Went left and right, and he probably could have put in 3 more auto attacks, tied the race for the first wave, and then just challenged level 2. Instead, they desperately tried to get level 2 and then got out-traded really hard, which put, if you go for the race and you lose, then you lose really hard. If you give up the wave, you can just farm on the tower. But if you both challenge to get to level 2 and you're the one on the losing side, that's when you get punished really hard, and that ended up happening.
Well, I think that Najin Shield put a lot of emphasis on that bottom lane. It seemed teleports going in, it seemed roams, it seemed ganks. Let's pull the first replay up onto your screens. It's quite a chaotic one with a whole lot of people getting involved. Roll this one out, and I quite like the play. Zeph and Sneaky going toe-to-toe, but look at the minimap. Look at the pressure on Elimination, and over the course of the next few minutes, everybody gets involved. Monty, talk to me through the play.
Such a good flash over that tidal wave, and Elimination's going to get hooked right here. And what we're going to see is actually Sneaky jump in and then heal to get Elimination out of there. Now at this point, they're trying to chase it back in. Save is now trying to TP between the turrets. So he's going to come in, flash forward, go down onto Sneaky. Of course, there's the Lulu. Now, a lot of kind of awkward positioning here from Shield. They went in a little bit too deep and got caught out. They try and run 2 through the turret. I think that split there was really suboptimal, and by the time High gets in, he's going to pick up another kill as well. So
I don't think Watch should have repelled to the wave there if he knows his top lane is coming in with teleport.
Yeah.
So Monte Cristo, you were the only analyst to correctly predict the winner of this game. Anything you want to say to your fellow analysts?
Yeah, guys, come on. The rose-colored glasses, after a Western team wins, you can't just put these things on and say, hey, one game, now everybody can beat the Koreans. No. You take them off and you say, Koreans are still Koreans. Do you know, let me ask you a question. Do you know the last time a North American team beat a Korean team? This guy should know. He was on that team. CLG, back in 2012, Champion Summer, beat MVP Blue the last time. Okay?
I beat Acorn, boys.
So just very quickly, you guys can have that back because you know the last time a European team beat a Korean team? Right.
Yeah,
Guys, after a day and a half of action, let's actually see where our teams stack up. Pull up that standings graphic and we can quickly see LMQ, of course, 2-0, Fnatic 1-1 after taking down Samsung Blue, as I have just rubbed in our analyst noses. Group D, Najin White Shield 3-0 after completing their first half of the group stage. Cloud9 2-1. Alliance 0-2. I guess I'll take some of that salt back. Guys, we do have to go to a quick commercial break, but when we return, OMG and Fnatic will face off in our 4th game of the day. Guys, don't go anywhere.
That. Don't be too afraid. It doesn't matter if we win or lose in the grand scheme of things. Let's just have some fun and play well.
Sneaky at less than half HP. Balls is there as well. Oh! They finish him off. They do get one. Damage is massive. Deathmark actually going down. Gorilla will fall though to Sneaky. But what can they do? We see Watch and Zephyr going deep. Ball's going to join in the fight. Watch is low. What can Balls do? He has to use his own wild growth on himself. And he's going to fall.
Welcome back to the League of Legends World Championship, as I am joined here by LMQ Zhao Zhao and assisted by Kate for the translation. Zhao Zhao, my first question, talk to me about your first day in the group of death here at the World Championships yesterday.
是，请你讲讲你对于昨天比赛日第一天的表现，你是怎么来看的？
因为我们这个组其实几个队伍都非常强，然后昨天的话我们要打 OMG 还有 Fnatic， 可能说他们外人眼中觉得我们可能说比较弱，然后我们私底下也针对他们就是制定了很多战术，平时也就非常就在按蓝色方跟紫色方去练，然后昨天取得了2场胜利。
Okay, so there are a lot of very strong teams in our group, especially we are playing against OMQ and Fnatic yesterday. So a lot of people think we're not as strong as them, but we actually did make a lot of strategies specifically to deal with their own strategies, especially to play on both blue team and red team.
Well, indeed, some people were maybe underestimating you guys and having question marks how you would do in the mid lane. How does that affect you going into those games?
小微笑，就是当你作为一名中单选手去和其他中单选手对抗的时候，很多人在想你是这些对抗是如何对你造成影响的。
因为首先这个组其实其他3个中单都非常强，然后我们一开始就是制定的一套以前期 打得比较凶狠，然后去控制小龙，然后进行一些抱团。所以说，我觉得一般我的话，只要打出我自己要做的东西，因为整个队伍大家都发挥得很好，然后我相信我们能赢。
So we are doing pretty aggressive and in the early game and try to control the dragon area. So I think out for our teammates play pretty well. So I want to just play well on myself.
All right. Talk to me through how this group will go from here, because Fnatic, for instance, is really well in their second game here.
因为今天你看到 Fnatic 在第2次比赛中表现得非常好，你对本个小组的形势发展怎么看？
因为我们组外界人称之为死亡小组，然后因为可以说我们这4个队其实差距其实并不大，大家2个队之间都有可能互相赢，然后可能说今天 Fnatic 这一场打得特别漂亮，然后 赢了韩国队，因为韩国队之前一直被认为非常强。其实我对这一场比赛看的也是非常的精彩，恭喜 Fnatic 赢得了这场比赛胜利。
So people know that like they all call our group as a death group because all the teams in our group actually there's not a big difference between the skill levels. So I saw this to this game for Fnatic versus current team. So actually I think Fnatic did pretty well, and there's a lot of changes in the future. Congratulations to Fnatic.
All right, very nice. Final question. You have a huge game versus Samsung Blue coming up at the last game of the day. Talk me through that matchup for you.
就是最后一个问题是你们今天晚点的时候会打三星蓝，你这次怎么看？
因为三星蓝其实在以前被我看来在外界人认为中非常强，然后今天看了上场比赛，然后因为 Fnatic 也可以说打得非常漂亮，赢了三星蓝。其实我们现在可以觉得就是韩国队没有传说中的那么强，我觉得我们如果打得好一点， 就是大家都尽量犯失误，然后在选人赛的时候做一点功夫的话，我们还是有机会赢得下一场比赛的胜利。
So people always think like Samsung Blue is one of the most strongest team in the world, but as we saw the last game that Fnatic overplayed Samsung Blue, so we will for ourselves we will do a lot better and try to perform well, and especially on some strategies.
All right, very interesting. Thank you very much, and good luck in that matchup. And now let's hand it over to the guys at the desk to set up our next match.
Thank you very much, Sharks, and best of luck to LMQ later in the day. For now, I'd like to welcome Alberto Crumser and Hufo from Dignitas, as well as David Freak-Turley from the North American LCS, to the desk for the next 3 matches. Welcome, guys. This match will feature LPL's OMG taking on Fnatic from the European LCS, and there's kind of a contrast here. OMG played surprisingly bad yesterday, and Fnatic played surprisingly well today. Let's start with OMG. They're 0-2. They simply can't afford to drop another game if they are looking to make it out of the groups, it's a little risky, it's a little scary. Freak, you're turning your nose up.
Yeah, I mean, you always can make the comeback the second half of the groups. It's always mathematically possible that you can fail the first 2 days and come back the next 2. But OMG are just playing worse than I expected. Cool is normally this big, hard carry for the team, their mid laner here, and yet we saw him get just kind of completely dominated so far in the first day, and that's very uncharacteristic. We know he's got a wealth of international experience. We know he showed up last year at Worlds and did phenomenally. The dude beat up Faker last year, and suddenly he's really weak, and I'm just so surprised.
Doublelift, you felt quite strongly about Dada in particular from the squad. As a support player, what does he need to do to shape up?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about Dada, really, other than there's some supports I think that are very inconsistent, right? Some of them will get caught all the time, but then they'll make the game-winning play. I think a good example of that is Moore. Sometimes he does die for free, but a lot of the times he makes the play that wins them the game. Dada seems to just die randomly. His vision control is actually pretty decent. He has a good number of wards placed compared to the other supports in the group, but overall, Dada's really just, I don't know, he seems to just die for free, but he doesn't make those big clutch plays when he needs to.
Now, Crumbs, we haven't heard from you all day long. Talk to me about the Fnatic game that I know you were watching backstage. What caught out, what stood out in your mind of how they took down Samsung Blue, and what will they be taking into this match?
I think what impressed me the most was obviously Expeke. He really, like, when you take the Ahri into Zed, it's a little bit of a favorable matchup for Ahri, but you need to be really confident in this one. You can't just say, oh, I saw someone pull this off. You have to have rehearsed this matchup, and he beat up the guy that's known for making Zed's comeback. I was really impressed with that. And then on the other side of the coin, Deft was just getting hit by everything. Charm after charm after charm, just like in a straight line, not even like any sort of attempt at juking, and then he got destroyed by Reckless and CS. So those two things really showed up, and Fnatic just completely outplayed him.
I just want to quickly expand on the CS mark because both Expeke and Reckless are averaging ridiculous CS per minute numbers. Across both of the previous games, 8.88 CS for Peke. More impressive is Reckless at 9.97. Game 1, fair enough, he wasn't with his team, he was split pushing, but this previous game, he had 10 CS per minute, slightly over in that game, and he was with his team taking down Samsung Blue. Crepo, what sort of achievement is that for Reckless coming into this game?
Well, usually the CS numbers are pretty high on Reckless regardless, but what impressed me the most this time was that he was getting that CS while consistently playing with his team and playing the map correctly. Fnatic was not the Fnatic of yesterday. They were rotating better than their opponents. They were team fighting well. They were like making picks where they had to. They conceded objectives where they had to, and that was the most important part. They only went in when they knew they had the advantage, and I just think they played a lot smarter and just a lot better as a team. So with that momentum, they're going to go in really like just hot in this game.
Crumb, save that thought for the prediction game. We do need to roll this one on. So I'm going to put everybody on the spot, and ask who's going to win this matchup. OMG or Fnatic? Freak, you're first on my hit list.
I say Fnatic. I don't think they will ever look quite as good as they did last game. That was a just cacophony. It's not the right word. Everyone just played so phenomenal the last time. I don't know if we're going to see that quite again, but I would love to see that Fnatic the rest of the tournament. Anyway, I think they're going to win here, though.
We will see if they can pull out that same level. Doublelift, who's going to win and why?
I'm also with Fnatic. Reckless is just incredible. Expeke seems to be back, that clutch player that Fnatic needs to like hold them together mid lane. But really, Reckless and Yellowstar, those guys are the stars, and I think San and Dada don't have a chance.
Crumbs.
I'm going to have to go with Fnatic, and I'm really glad that we saw the interview with Reckless, and basically when they figured out their draft, they got kind of the jitters of having a bad team comp and were able to play to what they really want to be doing. So I think they'll get their team comps down and win off that. 3
for 3, European pride is flying high. Crepo, is it going to be 4?
Yeah, but I have forsaken Europe in the past, and I will never do again so I'm going with Fnatic. The matchup I'm looking forward to is actually Soas against Going Top. I think that's the only one that's up in the air right now. With Expeke on fire, he should be holding his own at least against Cool, and then the bottom lane should also be a mismatch. Maybe the jungler matchups can like sway the tide for OMG, but Fnatic looks confident for this one.
Yeah, I do want to say that in the previous game, Prolly had doomed High to fail by praising him. He's not given praise or disdain to either of these mid laners.
We had to remove him from the death.
We had to. Guys, the majority of fans are agreeing with our analysts, and 70% of you are voting with Fnatic. We'll see if they make it 2-0 on the day. The game is about to get underway, so let's send it over to the brand new Triple Cast to take us into the Rift. And as we go, Fnatic have thrown themselves into a very intensive boot camp to prepare for the international stage and say they're ready to face the best from around the world.
The bootcamp for us started a long time ago, like right after Gamescom. We went to America first, to PAX, and I think at first we were really rusty, but it was good that we had that week in NA to warm up, because when we arrived at Korea, I felt like we were a lot better.
Going into Korea, we had a different mindset. We really wanted to improve because we knew that we had the possibility to be even better at the game.
The bootcamp was really good. I think going to Korea was the step that needed to be done to get to the next level. I think if, for example, we stayed in Europe or stayed in NA or any other region than Korea, we would have had a worse chance than we do now.
We learned a lot about vision control and the OP picks that not many people in Europe picking. So I think like from the EU meta we shifted a bit to the Korean meta.
I felt like the bootcamp was really beneficial for us. I think it helped every single team, not only us, but every single team.
We were really happy to practice against the best teams in Korea, and we learned a lot. So in the end, it was really good for us.
Absolutely learned a lot, and they learned how to beat Samsung Blue, it seems. Let's see if they can do it against OMG. So, hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and of course I am joined by Martin DeFicio Lunga and Rivington Bisland III for the next 3 games.
How's it going? I'm feeling pretty good. We had some crazy 3 games in the beginning, so I think it might even just get crazier.
Yeah, they have been absolutely fantastic games. Let's move straight into the starting lineups for this matchup. Starting out on the blue side, for China's LPL, it is OMG. Starting out in the top lane is Going. In the jungle is Loveling. Mid lane is Cool. AD carry is San. And support, of course, is Data777.
And on the other side of the map, the red side, is Fnatic. That's Soaz in the top lane, Cyanide in the jungle, Peke in mid, Reckless at AD carry, and Yellowstar at support.
And coming into this game, you've got to think, obviously, after Fnatic, they took that victory earlier on. Their morale, it was down here yesterday. It's up here right now. It is sky high out of the arena. You know, just beating Samsung Blue immediately. Everybody was saying, you know, it's a possibility. And we were backstage, obviously, talking about it. It seems to be all about the mid game, and that really worked for them throughout the entire tournament. Problem is, OMG are kind of good at that area as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, normally we would see OMG be really good in these mid-game team fights, but their performance yesterday was very strange. It didn't look like OMG at all, and if we talk about Fnatic being like up here in terms of morale, OMG's down here. They're under the caster disc at the moment. After losing 2 games, I mean, the entire Chinese community is looking at OMG as well, and they're failing to perform.
And this is the big deal. I mean, this is the Chinese team, because the whole China region believes this, because it is a pure Chinese team. They look at, obviously, Edward Gaming, they pulled together. They were a little bit upset about World Elite, the mix that went on back at the start of the season. They look towards, obviously, Star Hong Royal Club. There's a mix of Koreans in there. So this is the team they see as representing China. There is a massive amount of pressure on this team.
And they just haven't been able to perform. And now, looking pick and bans here. Rumble yesterday destroyed OMG in 2 games. Fnatic didn't play Rumble yet, and yet OMG actually banned it because they don't want to take the chance anymore. Rumble is so good in these mid-game team fights, and that's where OMG has been losing their games.
The thing is, like, while Soaz, we've say, can kind of play everything, I don't remember the last time he played Rumble. Definitely wasn't during the entire summer, that's for sure. But who knows, maybe it's in his bag of tricks. Alistair also banned out, continuing to be one of the most banned champions throughout. Gragas banned out. That comes out of left field.
Interesting. Peke possibly using that to create what we thought was going to be a composition that wouldn't work out for him earlier with the picks, but maybe able to create a little bit of that.
Yeah, this Gragas ban is very strange. It could again be a ban towards the top lane. I'm not sure why exactly they banned Gragas. Maybe they know something about Fnatic we don't know. But on the other side for Fnatic here, Rise banned against Going and Cool. It's a flex pick for OMG that makes a lot of sense and will probably be banned pretty much every game. And Lee Sin banned against Loveling. Remember, Cyanide, he's not a big Lee Sin player.
We talked about the mentality of these teams coming into this one. Fnatic using that last win as rocket fuel pretty much coming into this game. We know momentum is huge for them. And they're looking at the Zillion pick, which means OMG is going to be able to get the fights they want and be really reckless with those fights as well.
And OMG should be pretty happy here by getting the Zillion pick, because if you look on the other side of Fnatic, yes, okay, you take away the Kha'Zix jungle, But that's one of the worst junglers for Loveling in the jungle of OMG here. So it's not really a loss for him. He can go Jarvan instead. Now he can have the Zillion, so he can go really aggressive in the fights if he wants to. We have seen him play Evelynn in the past in LPL as well. Could be a pick for him. Not a champion we see very often. It's kind of fallen out of favor after she got a lot of nerfs.
And this is an interesting pick. The Aurelia getting locked in for the top lane of Going. It is one of his main champions, played it 10 times during the summer. Of course, we've seen Soaz playing it this matches earlier on today. Right. We also heard he wanted to play it yesterday against Cloud9, but they didn't actually go. They went with the Lulu.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that gets countered. More importantly, what is going on for Cool? What is he going to play? Talking about on the analysis desk, the amount of pressure on this man in the mid lane. It is going to be instead a jungle pick, so he's holding his cards close to his